The House is going to vote on a resolution limiting President Trump's military actions toward Iran. The Democrats are virtually on the side of Iran. As the daughter of Soleimani has vowed that there is going to be a dark event happening against the United States as they put a bounty on President Trump's head, as they are promising to literally attack the White House. The Democrats seem to be siding with our enemy. And I don't know how else to put this. There is absolute room for debate, and we ought to have debate. I don't know what's happening next. I believe in our troops and in our commander-in-chief. I believe we did the right thing. But to write a letter to the Democratic members of the House of Representatives, as Nancy Pelosi did, introducing a vote on a war powers resolution mandating that the administration's military hostilities with regard to Iran would cease within 30 days. I mean, it reminds you why Trump didn't confide in Pelosi before he made the decision to take out this Iranian terrorist. They're going to be opposed to anything he does. I was reading over the weekend a little bit of history, and there's a very famous historical line about war and about our adversaries and about bipartisan unity. Joe Lieberman, of all people, wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal commending President Trump's bold, unconventional, and strategically correct decision. But he quotes Senator Arthur Vandenberg, a Michigan Republican back after World War II, who was chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee. He formed a bipartisan partnership with President Truman that helped secure the post-war peace and greatly strengthen America's position in the Cold War. Vandenberg was asked why he was willing to work with a Democrat like Truman, and he answered, "Politics stops at the water's edge." He said, even though we all have earnest, honest, even vehement differences of opinion on foreign policy, if we can keep partisan politics out of foreign affairs, it is entirely obvious that we shall speak with infinitely greater authority abroad. If we can keep partisan politics out of foreign affairs, it is entirely obvious that we shall speak with infinitely greater authority abroad. Politics stops at the water's edge. I would make the argument that for Democrats and Trump haters alike, it's impossible. That's impossible for them. Here's a montage, cut number 6. This is from Fox News in Grabian, of Democrats lining up one by one, over and over, condemning the president's decision.
Tragically, his actions now put us on the path to another war.
He's been erratic and unsuccessful in almost every previous foreign policy endeavor. This one is the most dangerous of all.
We are not safer today than we were before Donald Trump acted.
We seem to have accomplished what Soleimani was trying to do but couldn't. So in death, he's actually accomplished his goal.
Taking out a bad guy is not a good idea unless you are ready for what comes next.
This is and was an enormous escalation.
Now, again, I go back to this Joe Lieberman op-ed. It's understandable, he writes, that the political class should have questions about this act. But it isn't understandable that all the questions are being raised by Democrats and all the praise is coming from Republicans. That divided response suggests the partisanship that has infected and disabled so much of U.S. domestic policy now also determines our elected leaders' responses to major foreign policy events and national security issues, even the killing of a man responsible for murdering hundreds of Americans and planning to kill thousands more. That to me is such a profound and powerful point. Let's have the debate. Listen, none of us are at the table. We're not in the room where it happens. We're not in the situation room of the White House. We're not generals. We're not even politicians. We're in the peanut gallery. We're Americans. They work for us. We have a right to know, and I believe that we have a right to differ. It's our right to have differences about this. That's okay. Let's talk about it. Let's figure out what's right for this country. But I cannot imagine instinctively condemning a move like this simply because Orange Man bad. And incidentally, to Joe Lieberman's point, you shouldn't blindly just say, well, this was done by Trump, so it must be perfect. None of us think that way about anybody. And as for a lack of conservative dissent, evidently Joe Lieberman isn't watching Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson it was the weirdest thing Friday night to watch Fox News. It was an hour of Tucker Carlson and guests bashing the president's decision to take out Soleimani at the Baghdad airport, followed by an hour of Sean Hannity and all of his guests supporting the move to take out Soleimani. I'm on an issue like this, I'd like a little more nuance. I'd like some balance. I'd like some disagreement. I'd like some critical thinking. And all of that's okay. I don't doubt for a minute that Trump is doing what he believes to be in the best interests of the United States. And I also don't think he wants to be in a prolonged, protracted war in the Middle East. But he's trying to save American lives. And I'm not real sure why the Democrats are lining up en masse to criticize him. Certainly all the Democrat politicians who are running for president, not one of them has indicated there's any merit to what we did at the Baghdad airport. Not one. That gets right back to the infected partisanship that is playing so big a part, a role in our conversations and in our politics in America today. We got a lot to break down today, don't we?